have an exciting show today. The one and only Greg Isenberg is here, and we're going to talk about 3 ways to build $1 million business with AI. And you can go and do any of these right away. Greg has shown you all the tools, all the prompts, everything you need to go build these businesses. Let's get to today's show.
Greg Isenberg back on the show. Greg, entrepreneur, YouTube creator, documentary maker. Not sure how you like to be thought of these days, Greg. But you're up to a lot of different things. I think on this show, one of the things you're phenomenal at is showing people the opportunity around AI. You have an incredible documentary series called, I think, the AI Gold Rush. And so we would love you to show our audience, if you had to start today, how would you use AI to make $1 million?
Oh, easy. I can do that.
No big deal, right?
Yeah. So here's what I can promise to people. By the end of this episode, they will get their creative juices flowing around a framework for how you could use some of these AI tools. I'll share the tools. I'll share how I think about optimizing the prompts. I'll share how I'll think about building distribution. And you might make 10 million, you might make 100,000, but it is the framework for how the new line of businesses are being created. And I promise I won't hold back.
We want it all. Let's do it.
The first tool I'm going to show you is a tool I built for myself, but then I ended up making it public. So I co-founded this. It's called Ideabrowser.com. Have you seen this?
Yep.
I have.
Very cool.
So my thesis is that the right idea, people say ideas mean nothing, but it's just not true. The
That's
right
totally
idea,
not true.
It's just not true. Now more than ever, if you find the right niche idea based on a trend in a world where you can vibe code anything, I believe that there's, life trajectory, there's a huge opportunity there. So I built this because I run a holding company. What it does is it scrapes Facebook groups, it scrapes Reddit, platforms like that, and it creates an idea of the day based on the trend. And one of the more interesting features I find is there's this build this idea section. So what we can do today is we can look at this idea and pretend like we're building it and how we would build it and what tools would we use. Does that sound like a fun?
Let's do it. I would love that.
Okay, cool. So let's actually look at the idea. I think it's a grim one.
I know. I'm actually looking at it here.
No, I was at a funeral last week and I actually had an idea similar to this. So I think it's perfect.
Okay, so should we do this one?
Yes.
Let's do this one.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'll read it for people. Cemetery management software that digitizes historical record for small cemeteries. So small cemeteries operate with paper records. The plot maps remain hand-drawn. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't realize that. So basically pricing ranging from $30 to $200 a month based on cemetery size. MVP features a web dashboard where managers could upload photos of paper records that convert to searchable text through OCR. Market seems big, $320 million. So, and it gives you actually your value ladder, your stack, right? So what lead magnet you want to do, maybe a digital cemetery transformation guide, the cemetery helper introduction package, the core offer, which is a cemetery helper pro. So this is using AI to basically, study people. You can see Russell Brunson, who's an OG, kind of funnel guy, right? So we're going to do this idea and it's okay, how do we actually build this idea using AI and how do we actually market it? So you can see on the left-hand side there, the problem that people make, or the problem is that people don't know how to prompt the tools very well. And they also don't know what tools to prompt. So what this does is it gives you prompts for ad creative on all the different platforms. It gives you prompts for the brand package, the landing page, the content calendar, the email funnel sequence, or funnel system, the email sequence, the lead magnet, the product.
All right, we've got our prompt of the week for you. This one's designed to help you generate $1 million ideas using AI. If you're feeling inspired after hearing about these tools and strategies, this is your next step. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the show.
Really quickly, is it, how are you doing this? Is this a bunch of different prompts? Is it one prompt that's kind of pulling data from Plexi? Maybe just a little bit about, you don't have to give away your kind of, your magic, but what has AI allowed you to do that kind of helped you collapse all of this into a single place?
I would love to give away all the magic, because to me, like, you asked me like, what do I do? I consider myself in the light bulb business. If I can help people's light bulbs go off, that to me is a successful day. So I'll tell you exactly how we do this. For each idea, we have all that data. That data gets downloaded. We funnel that data and context into these different sections. And the issue that people have when they're, a lot of people vibe code, or they'll use ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and they don't get the result they want. So they're upset they're like, oh, this is useless. But what's great about this is it gives the right amount of context.
Yeah, it's a context. Yeah.
So it's all about the context, as you guys know this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this just is like, the way I see it, this is like training wheels for anyone to prompt. So, how I would start with this is I like starting with the PRD. So if I was there would be two options. Either I would start with a landing page, put up a landing page, and then start, generating traffic to that. Or I'd start with the product requirements doc, the PRD, and I would use like a V0 to actually build the product.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So there's a bunch of different like quote unquote vibe coding tools. What's your preferred tool and why? For the next kind of step you're going to kind of build that landing page.
So for landing page, I mean, they're all kind of similar. Some people like Lovable more. Some people like V0 more. Some people like Replit more. Replit agent has like I don't know if you've seen this. They basically have, you can like put in the PRD, and the agent, you can have it do like a fast version in like a minute, or you say like use Replit agent and it'll build out everything, but it's going to take 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So
the new agent is insane. It's like one of the more autonomous
so good.
agents in the market.
Yeah. Actually, this is interesting. Reddit. How complex of an app can Replit agent make? Oh, this is a year ago, so that's like 40 years in AI land.
It's true.
But even this person says like it can build apps that are fairly complex. I just finished building an RSVP app, and that was 6 months ago. So if you're just trying to build a landing page, I like pick whatever brand feels good to you. If you're trying to build an app, that's where tools like V0, Lovable, and Bolt, they're better at the front end. They're getting better at building full apps, but I would say like if you're, a non-expert, non-technical person, I would use Bolt, Lovable, V0 to get something out there. But if you're technical, I would use something like Claude Code or Cursor.
I have an app, for the most part, minimal viable version built, and when I got to 30,000 lines of code, I needed developers. I have 2 developers, and it started just to get they start to kind of lose, I don't know, track of the code and start to like integrate weird things into the code base. And so the mix I had to use was real developers and Claude Code plus one of those apps. So they definitely still have like some scalability issues.
I agree, and I think like it's okay. You don't need to be a Sam Altman says, a one-person billion-dollar company. Like, we're trying to make $1 million here. So, it's okay if you need to hire, on Replit, there's
dev.
Yeah, a dev, right? Replit has something called Replit bounties. If you don't know what to do, you can literally just have a task. I'm not like associated with Replit or anything. I'm just,
No.
I think this is
You're showing.
interesting. Yeah. I think it's interesting, like, because I think we've all been there where we're vibe coded something and we're like, I'm tired, and like I just don't know what to do here.
Well,
So
it's the interesting thing of like vibe building anything. I include graphics, like you're going to go to build a landing page. Actually, these tools are great for landing pages, but the creating part is magic. The editing part literally makes you want to set yourself on fire. Like when you start to really have to do editing in the code base, that's where you start to lose all that magic, and you just start to say, I've had to start from scratch. Like, it's easier just to start all over again than actually try to use these tools for editing. I think that's still the problem with AI today, is like
Huge.
the consistency and reliability of the editing is nowhere near good enough to ship a lot of production ready things.
I totally agree, and I also think, going back to the topic of this, like, how do we make $1 million with AI? I probably wouldn't build a full application to start, realistically. Like, I would probably start with a landing page. I would honestly probably start by like grabbing some of these prompts around like go to market. Like, there's the saying, measure twice, cut once. And I think that we've all been so trigger happy to like vibe code, but like you need to understand like what you're building before you're building, or else you're not going to make $1 million. Even if like Replit agent builds a thing, right? So, I would use something like this, right? So let's see, go to market strategy. So it's going to give us a prompt for a go to market strategy. And then I would use probably ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's what I would pick too.
Yeah. So I would probably do that. And it has this long ass prompt that says, create a comprehensive go to market strategy that provides a clear roadmap for launching and scaling this business. Focus on the most effective channels and tactics based on the target audience and competitive landscape. And then you have to be like the editor, and like you can't, just because you got the Ideabrowser prompt doesn't mean like don't accept it as like 100% perfect, right? Like you need to read this and you have to agree with it. So by the end of like some of these promptings, these business promptings that you're going to do, make sure that you believe in what you're building. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, this is where like you have to have some beliefs. You have to interject them into the strategy and the prompt, and you got to iterate and go back and forth with this for 20, 30 minutes to get to a point where you're like, oh, this is actually good, and I could see this working.
So what do you guys, you see my screen, right? So
yeah.
What do you, you guys are world-class marketers. So what do you think of what ChatGPT spit out? Like, do you buy it? Do you think it's, right?
I think the market analysis is pretty good, right? I think the core question where you would, where marketing is really going to come in is in the next couple of sessions, right? Like, how do you position it, and what are the actual channels that you're going to go after to build a business like this, right?
So let's see what they say. See what Sam Altman says.
I don't know if it's trying to be tongue in cheek with that. I love the positioning statement, which is for small cemetery managed, still buried. ChatGPT is a creative marketer. That's it. I love that line. Buried in paperwork.
And what you need to know here, like this is where like doing some basic understanding of the audience, right? Like this is a very non-technical audience.
Yes.
Right. And so you need to make sure that the positioning and the language is as basic as possible. And it's literally just like, we're going to turn your plot drawings into digital records to help you continue to build and manage your cemetery business, right? Like it's got to be very basic.
It's pretty, like, if you think about it, right? You've spent probably 15 minutes going from business idea to full analysis to go-to-market strategy. Go-to-market strategy is pretty good. Like
it's
even
pretty good
from what you're showing on screen right now. Again, you have to be able to, I always think with AI is going to do 80% and that you do the last 20%, but you have so much time to make that last 20% much more impactful. And so you can really refine this, but I think it looks pretty good. The one thing you just mentioned, I think is important for our listeners, Greg, and you are, a seasoned entrepreneur. One of the things that I think the average person, the mistake they make is they kind of build too much of the product prior to marketing or getting feedback on that product. You did mention that. So is there anything in here around like a phased approach where you would try to build some initial feedback, like for your waiting list, to try to get some initial user traction just to get feedback on the minimal viable version? Or is this really just your full scaled marketing plan?
So this marketing plan looks like it's the full scale thing. And if I was like, what I might say, this is great, but I don't want to build the MVP all at once. What I want to do is validate that this is a good idea, so I don't waste years of my life building
digitized cemetery records.
Yeah, people don't want. So I need you to come up with a marketing plan for a more actually like lean startup approach to building this landing page, wait list, etc. Dude, no one even says lean startup anymore.
Most startups are just lean startups by default now, right?
Like, do you remember when that book came out?
Yes, it was a transformational book for entrepreneurship,
yeah.
But it seems like it might as well be like 100 years ago.
Wow.
Kind of, it's insane actually. It's kind of wild. I hadn't thought about it. I hadn't even thought about that book in years.
What do you think?
Looks like
What do you think replaces that? If that was the lean startup, given the way you can build businesses today, what is like the version of that for entrepreneurs today?
I mean, this is the new lean startup,
Yeah.
which is like you find an idea based on data. Like you find an idea based on data that AI basically scraped based on real conversations on the internet. You then build that idea, but before you build it, you validate it. You have to be like a decent business marketing person to basically edit that. So you have to get smart on that. But you go and do that and you research it. Like you spend a bunch of time researching it. And when I say a bunch of time, I mean like 3 hours.
In AI time, that's a lot of research.
Yeah.
You could, yeah. It's a whole building an entire app.
Yeah. And you use, ChatGPT and Claude and Manus and companies like that to go and do that. And you and by the way, use multiple of them.
Please,
I use ChatGPT, great. Now I've done this with ChatGPT. Now I'm just going to go and copy and paste it into Claude. Okay. Now, Claude said one or two interesting things. And then I'm going to go to Gemini. And then I'm going to go to Manus. And I'm just going to do that. That's the 3 hours. And then by the end of it, I basically, by the end of that process, what I do literally is I have a notebook and I write down with a pen and paper what the idea is, what the marketing strategy is going to be, how am I going to grow it, what does the MVP look like before actually going into V0, doing a PRD, all these things. Now, I don't know if that's a boring way to do it. Like I know people are listening to this and they're like, oh, I just want to like, my fingers are burning to vibe code. It's like, slow down, my friend. Slow down. Spend time over here.
I think what you're really telling people, Greg, is like, you can go run and vibe code stuff, but the likelihood that you waste a bunch of time building something that nobody wants and make little to no money is pretty high, right? And we're here, we're doing a whole show about like how you would make $1 million with AI. Part of that is like you have to validate the actual company and idea in a way that makes sense. You need to have a strategy that you can then go get some feedback from potential customers on before you go and build everything. Because it might take 3, 4, 5, 6 ideas until you get to the one that's really the $1 million idea that you have the unique skills to go build out and do, right? Like you can't just go instantly into like making something that's going to be $1 million business still.
The truth is your first idea is never the $1 million business.
Never.
There's a good chance. If you're lucky, it's your second idea.
It's true.
If you're lucky. I'll give you a famous example of a lucky second idea was the story of Instagram. Before Instagram became famous, it was an app called Bourbon. And Bourbon was a Foursquare competitor. When you remember, you used to like check in to different.
Yeah,
Right.
tell people where you were. It was so weird.
So weird. You used to check. So strange. And one of the popular features on Bourbon was posting a photo to a location. So I think it was actually Kevin Systrom, the founder of Instagram's girlfriend, who was like, you guys should just focus on photos. That's what people care about. They built it in a short amount of time, new app, Instagram, and it took off on the first day, got 25,000 users. So they needed to go through the messy middle of building Bourbon to get to the place where, okay, the real insight is around photo sharing. And I think if we were going to actually build this cemetery management software business, which by the way is the most grim idea, so I don't even know if I can personally do that.
But that's also why it has a higher likelihood of making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of, you're going to have less competition, less people who'd want to do it, right?
That's right. That is true. That is a really good point. So, and we are trying to make $1 million. So I take it back. So if we, I think that through this process around like, here's the customer interview guide that you can get through AI, the competitive analysis, through the actually putting in these prompts and on those 4 or 5 different platforms, and then using a notebook. And why I use a notebook is it just like, I don't know why it like clicks in my brain more when I write things down, but writing down the insights there, spending like a day doing that and then the next day building the landing page, building the brand package, building the ad creative. But we might realize that, this idea actually was close, was the right niche, but actually the MVP is actually quite different.
Yes, what these cemetery owners need is actually very different than what this idea is.
Yes.
That it found the right problem, but the idea needs to evolve to better fit the problem, right?
Yes. I want to show one more thing around, I don't know why more people don't do this, but there's like this feature here which goes through different niches, just scrapes Reddit, like uses AI agents to scrape Reddit and Facebook groups.
Oh, that's sweet.
And just tells you literally like what are the pain points in these different subreddits. So for example, like, oh man, backyard chickens and urban homesteading. So this is like a fun, like, I mean,
we are covering the best topics today. Cemeteries,
Reddit
chickens,
business.
Yeah,
homesteading.
Yeah, this is crazy actually. But that's like kind of the point is like you probably haven't thought about backyard chickens a lot. But apparently it's a high pain level, and the most affected people are these new hobbyists. So you can use AI to look at what are the underserved segments, what are the pain points that people are facing, and it literally has like, someone on Reddit like lost 3 hens last night. This is getting expensive and heartbreaking. Are there any products that actually keep raccoons out, or am I wasting money?
Wow.
That's the cool part about AIs.
Yeah.
You get data.
Yes.
And especially, right? And then you can use that data to give you an insight around what to be building. And also, by the way, for the people listening to this, I would just like copy these user quotes, post it into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you're using, and be like, make a landing page that speaks to landing page copy that speaks to these user quotes. I don't know why more people don't do that.
Well, and by the way, there's a couple other things that I think are really interesting on this particular like Reddit scraping example, Greg, which is one, if the channel's big enough, it's your whole marketing strategy, right? Like you're just taking the core problems from that channel, engaging with the channel, and that community is your target market. And maybe that's not $1 million business, but it might be $100,000 business.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think is interesting. The other thing for things that might be, I know we talked a lot about vibe coding, but you can make money a lot of different ways. Like for something that, for example, that stops raccoons from getting in chicken coops, it might just be like, there's a bad solution in America and somebody in like Sweden has figured this out and you just need to like import it and sell it here. Right.
Well,
like there's
the
very basic things you can do to make money once you understand like the problem and demand in the market.
Two of my favorite entrepreneurs, I can't recall their names now. There's a great write-up on them, and one of the publications are the German brothers, who have made billions by just taking U.S. businesses and replicating them in Europe. And that's what they had did, right? They didn't have to validate anything because they were validated in the U.S. and they just replicated them really fast. The other business that you just kind of mentioned something there that I think is actually really important, Greg, which is like, why do more people not plug in their customer language to craft their content? The other business, I think, is a really good business. And we kind of showed a way to kind of manually do this, but someone can automate it, is creating a digital twin of your customer. And so the way you would do that is you would create an app. And that app, you would plug in things like your gong calls and all of the internal information you collect about your customer. And then it would collect all of the external information you collect about your customer. And then anytime you do something to market to that customer or sell to that customer, you could have your digital twin edit it for you and review it for you, and then actually replicate it in your customer's language. And we kind of showed how to do that in Claude projects, but that is a really good use case. I think most companies have marketeers and people that don't do that. They just like guess. That's why everything sounds like jargon.
Right. Totally. And that's why the average conversion rate on the internet is 1% to 2%. Like no one talks about that, but 99 or 98% of people are coming to websites and are literally just leaving.
They're like not finding anything relevant to them at all.
Yeah. And we're like okay with it. We're like, oh yeah, that's the normal. It's 1% to 2%. And like,
but I think that opportunity is disappearing. So here's what's going to happen to the web. I think the website is actually we're going to look at the website and say, wow, that was like a really antiquated thing to do, because A website is a static library of content that you have to like read through and research. ChatGPT is a much, much better version of that. And so when you look at the data, on average, someone coming from ChatGPT converts like anywhere between 4 to 12 times better. Now, people look at that and they think, wow, that's a great opportunity. But what's the reason that is because all of the research is happening away from your website. And so one of the business opportunities is, what is the modern website in a world where most of the research does not happen on your own website? And I actually think your website will probably morph into just a kind of some sort of multimodal agentic seller, because you come there fully researched. And so you're not looking to navigate and consume content. You're looking to have a real interaction with someone who can actually demo the product to you, get you the last 20% of things you can't get from ChatGPT. And Greg Brockman, the co-founder of OpenAI, had a fascinating quote during the week where he said he feels like the website, like ChatGPT has shone a light on the website and just like how redundant it is. And so there's another business opportunity on like, what is the AI version of a website? And I think that's a fascinating thing for someone to like build around.
Well, I think OpenAI has made it clear that they want to make ChatGPT the operating system.
Yeah, they want to.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the announcements from Dev Day, if you're looking at my screen around these apps that exist within ChatGPT, like, you might never go to ideabrowser.com. You might just at Ideabrowser and just be like, hey, I'm thinking about an idea in cemetery space. Like, hook me, what do you think? You know what I mean?
Go frame the problem and opportunity for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm just one of those people that I'm like, this is where the world is going. I'm going to make this beneficial for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to go build a bunch of apps and see what happens, like, so, but like, okay, I'll answer your question directly. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Obviously, it's not a good thing, because we don't, the old way of the web was you control the experience, and we're losing control to OpenAI. OpenAI is going to be able to control the experience. And you can see that when I added here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 apps that came out: Booking.com, Canva, Coursera, Expedia, Figma. Someone at OpenAI decided that Booking.com, for whatever reason, I guess it's alphabetical, but still, like, I don't see Ideabrowser up here. You know what I mean? So, the same way that the App Store, there was a lot of early winners, and if you knew the editor of the App Store, you got, back in the day, you would get thousands and thousands of downloads. I think the same is going to be true with the App Store on ChatGPT. They're also going to have an editing approval process. But what do you got to do? Anyways, going back to the topic, you want to make $1 million. Another way to make $1 million is build apps for ChatGPT apps. I don't know why more people aren't, like, why are you even listening to this? You know what I mean? Like,
my hot take though is that the cemetery thing is better than the ChatGPT app thing.
Yeah,
that's that would be my burning hot take is, yes, the ChatGPT opportunity is there for sure, but there's still so many problems that are completely not served and solved in this world that, like, if you just go and find one like the cemetery problem, that the technology is so good and easy now to address it, you can make $1 million.
I hate to agree with you.
I mean, you can please disagree with me, but that is probably, I love AI, I love ChatGPT, I love everything. But I mean, if you were just like, go make $1 million as fast as possible, like, I'm going to go start the cemetery business and going to grind it out.
How would you figure out what app to build for OpenAI? Like, what's an example that someone should, like, how do you build differently, I guess, for OpenAI versus the cemetery app? Like, is there a difference in how people should think about that?
So I came up with this little framework for coming up with chat app ideas. So, and what the opportunity is. And we can actually talk about a couple of these startup ideas if you're interested. But, the goal is to build SDK native apps that ChatGPT automatically surfaces when people ask for help, like help me get a mortgage, plan a wedding, or launch my newsletter. That is the opportunity. If you want to build a ChatGPT app, you want to basically you want to be the first thing where it says help me get a mortgage. Just like how in the SEO days, if you were the Rocket Mortgage or whatever it's called, help me get a mortgage, you're number one, like you made literally billions of dollars. So there's going to be an opportunity. Keep in mind, there's 800 million people who are weekly active users to this, right? To ChatGPT. So if this works, if ChatGPT app works, and they don't it doesn't go the way of custom GPTs, which we can talk about, but was a massive failure. If this works, then if you want to create not a $1 million idea, but like a $10 million plus idea that has like a bit more risk of not working, then I would say try to own a high value keyword, solve a specific high intent request that ChatGPT can't handle natively, and have a custom UI that's visual and like I'm sure you saw. So they really want like visual. Like this is Zillow, right? It's like a visual UI. So I mean, maybe if we want to build a cemetery app idea, it's like my grandmother died and like need help with funeral planning, and then it like pulls up a UI like this.
And
you buy a plot.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to monetize in some way. So I guess you would build that app in a way that allowed them to look at things, but as soon as they needed to do an action, you would monetize the action by them having to click through your app, or you can monetize in the app. I actually didn't understand that part.
Yeah. This is a website. Like, what is the difference between
fully
this
rendered
and a website, as far as I'm concerned? It just, instead of it kind of, what sucks about it is, OpenAI, don't hate me on this, but what sucks about it is the web was an open protocol, or is an open protocol, right? If you want to create a website, you don't need permission from anyone to create a website. In this environment, you do need permission from OpenAI to approve your app.
So basically they are the curators, whereas
Yeah.
in the open web there was no, I guess the algorithm was the curator, but like you're not having to have the human doesn't have oversight.
This comes back to kind of my point of why the cemetery business is a better business than building like an app on ChatGPT, is because you have full autonomy over that cemetery business. When it comes to ChatGPT, just like you said, Greg, OpenAI has got to like let your app exist on their ecosystem. But the other thing is you either have to provide functionality that's limited, that's available in their technical infrastructure, or you have to send people off to your app on its own URL, right? And that then becomes two things to manage. It then becomes kind of a user experience challenge where your top customers are going to want to get into a level of detail in most of these use cases where they're going to need a standalone experience, because at least in the short term, what's capable within ChatGPT isn't going to be enough of what to do.
But isn't the business opportunity for ChatGPT that there's just going to be a new way that people interact with stuff? And so like your old apps don't make sense in a world where their expectation, like the consumer is going to want something different. So like the kind of cemetery business has to be custom built to the way ChatGPT users will use ChatGPT. And so maybe the way this works is all of this stuff there's like a monetization part where you can do most of the things in ChatGPT, but you have to like go to the app to like complete some sort of tasks. But anywhere that has 800 million weekly active users, probably soon to be like double that at the rate that they're growing, it feels like it's going to be a forcing function to build into that ecosystem. Like there is a huge opportunity if you can figure out how to build apps in a way that those consumers will want to, consume. Same way that the App Store is very similar. Like the App Store top lists are all curated. They're not.
Yeah, I guess my point is I don't know how this is that much different than the App Store, where you had the standalone mobile app, but you still have a website and and in many cases a more detailed app beyond the mobile app experience. I think that's the opportunity. But Greg's point is I think your point here is on the topic of building $1 million business. This is very early on ChatGPT, and there's not a ton of apps, and so there's a lot less competition, and that makes it worth playing by their rules,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I'll give another. You want to make $1 million? Another way to make $1 million with ChatGPT apps is you build ChatGPT apps for companies. Like we run a design firm that works on AI products, and we announced that we're building GPT apps for a lot of the Fortune 500s, and like there's infinite demand. So like if you're a developer, I would say like build these apps for companies too, right? Maybe you don't have relationships with Fortune 500s, but that I think that you can easily sell some of these, just like how there's opportunity, there's web designers for websites and small businesses, and people make millions of dollars a year doing it. You can also start building these little apps and charge a couple $1,000, or even better, charge them like $50 a month or $100 a month and build a portfolio of it.
It is what you're if you're going to like watch this episode and say, I want to be early in the apps, the ChatGPT app store, I want to build a product in here, is how you decide what to build, like the idea different if you choose to build it into ChatGPT versus how you would just build it anyway? Like, do you have to have a different, does the idea differ? Like, you have to have a different way of validating your idea.
It's the way I see, apps within ChatGPT is very similar to how like mobile versus web, So if you think of like there's mobile first companies, and there was desktop first companies. Like Facebook, for example, couldn't really figure out getting onto mobile, and that hurt them. So they had to buy Instagram, which was basically the mobile first version of Facebook. So I think that like at the core of it, you look at Facebook, it's a photo sharing app. And then you look at Instagram, it's a photo sharing app. But it's a nuanced difference. So I think the apps that are going to crush it on ChatGPT are going to be chat first, very like focused on this experience and how do I natively build this UI so it is the best possible experience, which might just be like a little bit different than how their web experience works. But I think it would be hard for someone to, like, if we were working on that cemetery idea, I think it would be hard for us to build the web version and build the chat version at the same time. I would recommend someone just focus on either.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Can I get your thoughts on, is there a $1 million idea around the use of Sora 2 or VO3, like these kind of new creative video clip tools? Because like I love to create things, and they're the tools that I freaking love. Now I don't have access to Sora 2 because I'm a sad European and we're not allowed nice things, but I'm curious to get your thoughts.
That's not true. You guys, you have the quality of life, so
come live where I live.
All I heard is that less AI is higher quality of life. Is that was my takeaway.
I have a friend. His name is PJ Ace. Have you seen some of his commercials?
I've seen them.
Yes, his commercials are really good.
So this is a guy who's gotten 300 million views on his AI ads. To me, he's like the top AI ad man. And he comes from like the traditional, like, I wouldn't say Hollywood, but like traditional video making, ad making. And he just applied his skills to using VO3 and now Sora. And so like I'm not, there's no audio here. I'm just like, I want the audience to see like how, look at this, how this looks like a Super Bowl commercial. You know what I mean? So look at this. This is insane. He's done this all of these are all via AI video. And so where's the opportunity to build $1 million business with AI video like Sora and VO3? First is by building audiences with, like, if you can consistently push out content like this, then you go to something like Ideabrowser or come up with your own idea or find a trend and then go and sell them something, because you've done the hard part around finding an audience, right? I have this framework I build all my businesses on, which is like, I call it the ACP funnel, and I think I've talked about it on here before. Start by building an audience, then convert that audience to community, and then build that product. So I think I would start by building audiences, creating faceless accounts, creating brand accounts, but create super high quality videos. And I can tell you how he creates this, because I know how he creates this. I'm happy to share that. Like, what?
Tell us.
Yeah,
Kieran's like, please.
yeah. So what he does is he writes a script with ChatGPT and Claude. So he fully writes a script, but it's all with AI. He has a framework for coming up with scroll stopping scripts. Largely that has to do with juxtapositions, being funny, like highly visual, and then using characters that like people recognize. Now, I know someone's gonna say like, well, that's like illegal. You can't use, Sam Altman's likeness.
Well, he licensed it. He allowed people to use it on Store too.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that about them. By the
Yeah,
way, this
yeah.
could be a great ad for our cemetery business.
Yeah,
That is
I was
actually
looking at that one.
what I was just thinking. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But what's hilarious is you would kill Sora 2. You would kill it on Sora 2 with like cemetery AI content, right?
I wonder
Literally kill
how
it.
much Sam regrets the decision to having his likeness be open on Store 2.
I mean, the beauty is, probably a lot, because he's like a meme. But you don't have to use Sam Altman. You can use people in the public domain, like Plato and Socrates, or things things like that. And so he writes the script, and then he uses a tool like FreePick. Have you seen this? This is one of the tools where it's like kind of like an all-in-one image generator. So like, okay, we can do it live actually for fun.
Oh, then he creates the images here to put into the video to get consistency.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
So let's just use
Your sweet hair.
my my hair. I'll take that compliment.
I mean, it is good hair. You should be proud.
Actually, should we use one of you? Let's use one of you.
I've
I'm
got
gonna
a
use Kieran because I have
boy
a
band
doodle for
side
mine.
profile. You still got your
Yeah,
what's it,
man.
NFT you have?
All right, so we're gonna upload this photo and use image, and then you could, like, let's say we wanted to make a video around this. Like, let's say have him eating a banana or something. You can pick the model here.
Oh
So
wow, I have not
yeah.
seen this tool.
Yeah. So you start by the model and you pick the right model. And then what he does is he would pick, let's say, Nana Banana, which is probably the best right now. And he puts it all in like a Figma of like all the different frames. So he creates the frames first.
And then takes the images for each frame and makes
Yeah.
them into clips.
And
that
then
is cool. Okay.
look at
I
that.
look like Daniel Negreanu, the poker player.
So he'll take this and then he'll basically put his script plus storyboard in one like Figma, and then once he has the frames, he'll then use a video generator to go and, like, we can take this, for example, and turn it into a video. And on a tool like this, you could, again, like, you pick the different model, the right model for it. So you can see here all the different models, like Wan 2 right now, which is Alibaba's open source model, is like really good right now. So you might want that. But, if you're trying to do more of an animation, maybe you want something like Kling, right? So you pick the model that works best for the type and style that you're trying to figure out.
I love that. Free pick. That is a cool tool. I'm actually going to spend my weekend using that tool.
Oh yeah, Kieran's now going to be
I've
on
been
free
using
pick all
Flow
weekend.
and
Thanks,
VO3.
Greg. You
Yeah.
just killed his family time.
So
I'm sorry, family.
Your
Sorry.
$1 million idea here is like get really good at scroll stopping videos, build that audience, and then you can kind of build a product to market to that audience.
100%. Like,
Yeah, you could probably, like, back in the day, people just built handles with millions of followers that were memes back when like memes were newer, and they just sold the handles. So I think you actually did say that somewhere, where at some point people may just buy over like Sora 2 accounts or like handles that have tons of viewers for their market, which are just these kind of videos.
I saw
So you might not
this.
even need to build a product.
Yeah. I mean, right now is a race. It's an AI gold rush, but it's also a gold rush. It's also an attention gold rush.
Right.
So
Exactly.
if you can
Scarce
build,
commodity.
yeah, if you can build that attention, then you have an unfair advantage. I saw this tweet the other day from Brett, who runs he's a designer. He said, I just made a TikTok account, posted a Sora video of squirrels jumping on a trampoline, 7 million views, 377,000 likes. We'll hit 20,000 followers today. Now, this is like just funny content, so it's easier to get likes and easier to get followers. Like there's no niche, right? So I mean, it's awesome that he was able to do this. That being said, like if I'm thinking about building $1 million company and I'm trying to build an audience, I want to think about what kind of videos I can create that build an awareness in the niche that I care about.
This episode is awesome because I've been looking to get much better at the video tools. I've been using Flow and VO3, but FreePick looks like the tool of choice for me.
Yeah, there's FreePick and there's also Enhancer.ai. Those are the two ones that I've used.
Well, if you
All right,
cannot,
so we gave multiple ways to make $1 million.
Multiple ways,
We
not just
talked
one.
about how to use Ideabrowser to build a $1 million business, how to build a $1 million business by building ChatGPT apps, and then how to leverage AI video tools to basically build an account or a community and either sell that or use that to sell a product to make $1 million. Like those are 3 great avenues to $1 million. And as normal, Greg, you're killing it. And you are, I think, the idea guy of all idea guys. I love that you're on Ideas Matter as like a core corner, because I do think they matter a ton. And I think we gave people some things that are hopefully going to get their ideas going as they watch the show.
I hope so. And I think I don't ask for much, but the only thing I'll ask for is if you like and comment this video. So, I mean, we gave you $1 million of ideas, right?
Yeah,
So
give us something
hit
back.
like, hit comment. Go check out Greg's amazing YouTube channel. We'll link that up below. Go subscribe to that, and we'll see you really soon on Marketing Against the Grain.
This data is wrong every freaking time.
Have you heard of HubSpot? HubSpot is a CRM platform where everything is fully integrated.
Whoa, I can see the client's whole history, calls, support tickets, emails, and here's a task from 3 days ago I totally missed.
HubSpot. Grow better.